Ultimately, I believe that if Canada were to go down the path of electing Mark Carney, which would give the Liberals a fourth term, it would probably be the end of our country. I believe if Mark Carney were to win, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba will separate.
In following up on a recent op-ed in the Globe and Mail, the former opposition leader says he's not advocating for secession, but if the Liberals win, sentiments for such will spike, producing a unity crisis on both the Western Front and in Quebec. Manning is calling for a post-election Democratic forum to discuss independence and related issues, regardless of who wins.
Taxation will increase without representation in Parliament.
As you mentioned, Chris, Carney set the consumer carbon tax rate to 0. Of course, the legislation is still on the books. So after those politicians are done knocking on your door after the election, they could still technically get back into the House of Commons and crank that carbon tax back up. But Chris, where I see the fight shifting under a Carney-led government is more to the hidden carbon tax, right? Carney has been very clear that he wants to impose massive hidden carbon taxes on Canadian businesses. Then he hopes you won't notice when that makes your life more expensive, right? But, you know, there's another element here of Carney's hidden carbon tax on Canadian businesses. And that's the simple fact that, you know, the United States, Washington, D.C. does not impose a carbon tax. So a Carney carbon tax on Canadian businesses would push our entrepreneurs here in Canada to cut production, to increase production south of the border. So really, Carney's hidden carbon tax on Canadian businesses is the worst of all worlds, right? Higher prices, fewer jobs.
I believe our rights and freedoms will continue to be infringed upon.
For this committee, I represent the Canadian Constitution Foundation, which is a national legal charity that defends fundamental freedoms. We have participated in Whatcott, Fleming, Ward, and other seminal Supreme Court of Canada decisions on freedom of expression. And we view this bill, C-63, as posing a grave threat to all Canadians' right to free speech and a flourishing democracy. We welcome the minister's announcement that he intends to split the bill, parts 1 and 4 of the bill, but we remain concerned about the constitutionality of aspects of part 1, as well as parts 2 and 3 in their entirety.
It's important that if the Conservatives were to win this election, Canadians stay involved. Canadians monitor what their local municipal governments are doing. They monitor what their provincial governments are doing. And they monitor what the Prime Minister is doing at the federal level. We still need to demand for the changes that we all seek and are fighting for in this election that has been promised to us by the elected official we're voting in. Anything short of this, even if the Conservatives win, will be a failure on the part of the Canadian voter. And we must demand more from our elected officials.